Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin and Global Finance podcast with me, Jason Dean, in partnership with Luno Wallet Exchange and Cyberian Mine. Now here we talk about all things Bitcoin and all things financial and try and make some sense of them. Now I say welcome back because it has been a huge gap since my last podcast. Some of this is due to personal reasons. Some of you know I lost my dad in this time, but it's also been a very busy period with conferences, with new all-time highs, and I've been doing a little bit of Bitcoin-related travel recently as well. And in fact, this very podcast was recorded in Russia a couple of weeks ago. It was actually supposed to come out a little earlier, but I got a cold while I was out there and lost my voice for nearly a week, which is not great if you're doing a podcast. But before we get started, I just want to acknowledge Luno's support in helping make this podcast possible. Luno is one of the world's leading cryptocurrency wallets and exchanges, trusted now by over 9 million customers in 40 countries. It was only 5 million when I started working with them last year, so it's a pretty impressive amount of growth. And it's no secret if you follow me on Twitter or Medium or LinkedIn that I've been recommending Luno for some time. And actually, I love recommending Luno for people who might be new to the world of cryptocurrency because it's very pretty, it's very intuitive, and it's an easy and secure way to buy, exchange, or hold Bitcoin and other cryptos. So if you haven't used Luno before, simply go to luno.com for the details or download the app. That's Luno, L-U-N-O, on your Android or Apple device. And if you do that and you're over 18 and based in the UK or Europe, and this is your first experience with Luno, that's very important, I'm going to give you £10 worth of Bitcoin, courtesy of Luno, absolutely free to get you started on the app. And the way I'll be doing that is by giving you a code at the end of this podcast, which will credit your account instantly when you enter it. It is a gift, the app is free, there are no monthly charges, and there's no obligation to buy anything else. This is part of a campaign by Luno to introduce new people to Bitcoin, and the idea is to get around that initial hurdle we all have, including myself back in the day when we started using Bitcoin for the first time. You know, when you get a little bit paranoid about doing something wrong or losing your money. So Luno gives you this little bit of Bitcoin so you can experiment with confidence before you commit your own funds if you ever decide to do that. And if you're not sure what to do with it once you've got it, you can come along to one of the free webinars we run regularly for beginners to learn all the Bitcoin essentials and find out why it's becoming so relevant so fast. Links to the next events are included in the show notes below. And as many of you know, I am a veteran Bitcoin miner with an operation that runs entirely on excess renewable energy based over in Siberia. And that, in fact, is the very subject of today's podcast. So if you ever wanted to know about mining or want to get started in it, you're not going to want to miss this one. Not only that, but you could get started here and now with Cyberian Mine by using the referral link in the show notes below, which will give you €45 head start against the purchase of your first miner. Now, I know it all seems complicated because people ask me about it all the time, and of course I remember back in the day when I first started mining myself, it all seemed overwhelming. So while I was in Russia visiting the Cyberian mining operations, I took the opportunity to grab Max, who is the CEO of this operation, and really grill him on some of the aspects of mining, how it works, and what might happen next. It was a brilliant interview, actually, great fun to do, and I really appreciate Max doing the whole thing in English, because my Russian is terrible, and I think you'll agree he did really well, especially on some of the technical stuff. Now, obviously, I was on the road, so I didn't have my usual microphone. We actually recorded this on my little Samsung mobile, so quality is not quite as solid as it normally is, but it's nice and clear, and that's the main thing. So let's get stuck in and enjoy. Hello everyone, well I'm here today with Max Matrenitski. I've got it wrong already, so how do I say it, Max, your last name?
Yeah, my name is Max Matrenitski. Yeah.
Thank you, Max. And you are the CEO of Cyberian Mine, which is one of the bigger Bitcoin mining operations here in Irkutsk. Have I said that right?
Irkutsk, yeah, close enough.
Okay. This one we're doing in person. We're actually here together in a hotel room in the Hotel Marussia. I probably haven't said that right either, but it's close enough for today's purposes. So Max, I'm just going to we'll just have a chat with you really. For those people out there who are listening to this who don't know who you are, perhaps we can start with a quick sort of summary of your background. And I'm thinking really up until you started Cyberian Mine. So in the days before you even knew about Cyberian Mine, I mean, what's your background?
Okay. Oh, first of all, thank you for having me here. Happy to share whatever I can to your listeners. I actually grew up here in Irkutsk. And I got my education here. I studied in university computer science, we may say. Then some business postgraduate study. Basically, that's kind of it. Then I moved to St. Petersburg and then to Berlin. Then I finally realized that something is wrong with energy prices that can be so drastically different in different regions, which led to creation of Cyberian Mine, basically.
Oh, okay. So you are a local lad then, really, and you've come back again to see what's going on.
Yeah, like back in the days, I had my first projects, startup experience, which we did not call startups back then, just small entrepreneurial activities. I had a video tape shop.
Wow, videotape, actual videotapes.
Actual videotapes,
wow.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, old school.
So, I mean, yeah, we go talking about old school videotapes there. At some point, you must have discovered Bitcoin. So when was that? And what did you think of it when you very first saw it? So your first sort of reaction when you read about or heard about this crazy thing called Bitcoin?
It was in 2014, and it is a funny story, actually. I was working in my small computer help desk systems administrator company, and one of my clients got a ransomware on their computer. So they were asked to transfer 1 Bitcoin to get their data decrypted. And they had no idea what Bitcoin is. And actually, by that time, I heard something about it, but never really touched that topic. And I did not know how to buy it or how it works. But I had a task and I started digging. Yeah. Even though I not always recommend to answer the demands of
to actually pay the Bitcoin, you mean? Yeah.
Ransomers.
Yeah.
We actually bought 1 Bitcoin and sent to the extortionists.
And did it work?
Yes, it worked perfectly. Back then, it was around $400.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone asks anyone who is in Bitcoin, do you remember the price of the first Bitcoin that you bought? Yes, I do remember. Of course, like anyone, it was $400.
So the ransomers actually got their $400 and they released the information?
Yeah, they sent the decryption program. Okay. We did that, and
so they did stick to their word at least.
Yeah.
So it's interesting actually. So your first experience with Bitcoin then was actually really a negative experience. I mean, that's how a lot of people perceive Bitcoin, particularly in the early days, just linked to
people, troublemakers, really, I suppose, people looking to do all kinds of illegal things.
Absolutely. That's how it started. When there's a new uncharted territory, it becomes a Wild West where everybody can do whatever they think they want to do, like, and whatever they like. And, when it's completely, not under control, it may get wild.
Yeah. Well, it certainly was at that time. I mean, it's quite a different place to be now, but at that time it was certainly something you had to be aware of. But I mean, from getting from there to actually starting mining or even understanding mining, I mean, how did that process happen? How did you go from paying these guys who had locked this customer's computer to actually starting mining for yourself? I mean, what process did you go through to get there?
I got really interested in this like while I was digging and the whole idea of Bitcoin, actually I started to understand it much later. So by that time I started to just realize that, it is something, it is a thing, and then it works, supported by, miners, and there are miners that can generate Bitcoin, and it costs something. So I actually got my first miner, a few months later. It was, Dragon miner, something with 1 terahash.
Wow, like 1 terahash. At the time, that would have been pretty major, I guess.
It was a really, really big box, and return on investment was like 6 months. This was kind of long-term investment for me back then, and but for me, the ideal, like real idea behind Bitcoin came much later. Back then, I realized that, it's a black box that you connect and you, basically print money. And that's the only thing, back then that I realized. Yeah.
And I think that's probably true of most of us, isn't it? Because when most of us first get involved with Bitcoin, we're probably just thinking of the money. It's only later on we get that understanding. So I'm actually quite reassured that you had the same experience as probably, the rest of us. So I've got to ask you, Max, did you run this machine at home?
I tried at least. I switched it on, and, it was very, very loud. And so I moved it, to my, like separate room where I used to work. But still you could hear the loud noise, from any other part of the apartment. So like a day later, my wife has actually kicked me out.
So it's you or the miner?
Well, okay, the miner. Well, it could be either.
So, I mean, mining is, for a lot of people listening to this, they're probably into Bitcoin. Some of them might be doing a bit of mining, but this is quite an important question and probably doesn't have a straightforward answer. But how would you explain mining to someone who perhaps understands Bitcoin, at least to some degree, but doesn't really understand what the mining process is about? What's the simplest way you would explain it?
Well, to put it the simplest way requires the biggest amount of effort. Basically, it is a mechanism to support the security of the network. That's strange that I'm stuck on the question. What is mining?
Well, I mean, I'm asking you that question, and actually I'm going to leave this in the edit because it kind of, it shows it quite nicely, because I've been in Bitcoin for quite a long time myself, and I've been mining, as you know, for quite a long time. But actually, I find it quite a difficult thing to explain if you're trying to explain it to people who really don't understand it. And I just wondered how you would try and do that. So, and of course, you're doing it in English, which is not your first language, so that makes it even more interesting. So,
Well, first of all, probably the concept of proof of work has to be explained. That in order to make the whole thing possible, you kind of have to ensure that the efforts put into mining one coin or to seal one block is big enough so that other malefactors not other malefactors, just malefactors could not simply alter the blockchain and change the operation, the preceding operations, transactions. So that is why you need to put something real work into it. So to change something in the past, you would have to apply at least the same amount of work. And since there are a million miners in the world, it is virtually impossible to do that. And that is exactly what makes Bitcoin so stable and so secure, because no one can just change some couple lines like in the history and add couple of zeros to their accounts or something like that.
Okay, so mining really is there to support the network. It makes the transactions work, and what you're referring to there is the blockchain itself, and that's the chain of transactions. I mean, I appreciate we're getting a little technical here for people who might not be technical listening to this, but it's a list of all the transactions ever made. And the miners basically make sure those transactions are all verified and confirmed. And they do this by providing answers really to a sort of an algorithmic question. And it's done on a competitive basis. So the people who sort of win that, the miners who put the most effort in, arguably, but there is a chance element as well, get the reward of the new Bitcoins. And even that explanation, and I've taken elements of your explanation there, is not that straightforward. It is a technical system. We both know that. And you actually have a computing background, so you probably understand just how technical it is better than I do. But for people listening to this, that's probably enough to get us going. The bottom line is, if you want to mine, you need to have special equipment to do it. And you need someone like yourself to help you get started and do that. But yeah, it's, between us, we've kind of put a sort of semi-answer together, really. And perhaps we haven't fully answered, but I think we've got enough for now, because we know we are supporting the back end of the network, and we know that miners are rewarded for doing so. So they're putting their time in, they're putting their money in because they have to get the equipment, and they have to pay for the power for that equipment to contribute to the network. Yeah?
Yes, absolutely. And, yeah. The main thing is to make sure that the blockchain, that the chain of transactions that were before is immutable.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. That is a key part of that process. And that's why we can trust Bitcoin and the transactions that we do. It can't be reversed or changed because the miners are there really as guardians of that network.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've confused everyone. We'll bring it back to simpler questions. So how did that was your first mining experience with this enormous machine you had in your apartment. How did you get from there to starting Cyberian Mine, which of course is now a much bigger operation, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But how did you get from there to Cyberian?
Oh, well, first of all, I took small steps. After being kicked out, the machine went to my garage. Then when the cabling and wires in the garage started to smell, I moved it to the place, to the dacha, to the place where I was building a house. And actually there were... I had by then already 6 miners, and it actually was enough to heat the whole house while it was being built. So apart from the noise, it generates a lot of heat. So you can use it for something good. That's what I did, and but then a little bit later, when the house was built, we actually that's not something that you usually do when you've built a house. We decided to move to Germany.
Not once you've built it, no.
And taking miners with me was not an option. So I sold all the miners and actually all the bitcoins that I had back then.
We've all been there.
It was 2016. We got a fresh start in Germany, and it was amazing when I first got my electric bill in my apartment. It was 31 euro cent per kilowatt hour.
Wow.
It's like 35 US dollar cents.
Yeah.
Which was...
That's high. That's really high.
That was so much higher than in Russia, in St. Petersburg even though St. Petersburg and Moscow are not the cheapest city, even in terms of electricity. I remember it kind of stuck in my mind, the surprise that I got.
So did that lead you to think, well, actually, if I could, because I want to mine, but I can't really do that here in Germany, maybe I can use my contacts back home to set something up? Is that what you started thinking along those lines?
Yes, along those lines. And also, that was not really in the beginning connected to the business idea in terms of finding things to do in Germany. I was exploring different options, and the main idea I tried to find, how can I use my so to say unfair advantage that I have kind of knowledge of both worlds, and what is it that is cheap in one place and expensive in another, and vice versa. And I realized that money, actually the cost of funds in Europe, is also so much cheaper than in Russia.
Okay. So you could see straight away objectively that you had cheaper capital in one country, but cheaper prices in another country.
Yeah, and then it kind of clicked. So cheap energy in Russia and cheap capital in Europe. So we can do something about it. Yeah, that's when I started to explore. And I still, I kind of missed mining. It's a money printing machine. It's not it was still, even by that time, not that much about the concept of blockchain, of Bitcoin, the people's money, the first decentralized system, store of value and payment mean. So so I decided to go for it, and me and my friend from Luxembourg, we founded this company. And
so was this around 2017 now, or
it was the end of 2017.
Okay.
When we started to think about it, and actually in January 2018, we started the company, Cyberian Mine GmbH, a German limited company, to provide access to European capital or crypto enthusiasts and people to hydropower of Siberia, in the place which I knew how to deal with, how to work with. so...
And the rest is history, and it's led us to this particular point. And in fact, you and I started having our first contact in early 2018, because I think by then you had a very basic site. I found it online. And I remember emailing you, because there were some aspects on the site that weren't very clear, because it was a first part, it was a first go at the site. And I remember you replied straight away, which I was really happy to get an answer straight away, because I had been mining at home and actually in other places, but I was looking to do something bigger and a little bit more solid. And do you remember that? Do you remember me emailing you? Do you remember any of that communication we had in the early days?
Well, I do remember that we did not have much incoming correspondence. Every chance to communicate the idea to, to talk to someone, to get some confirmation of the idea's validity was important for us. And the website that you're referring to was actually created on a website builder basically overnight.
That explains a lot. Yeah. But I mean, it was enough. I mean, that website and communication with you answered all of my questions really quite honestly about where you were in the process. And I decided to take a chance because you had very little, I think, at the time. And I thought, well, I'll take a risk with one S9, which was at the time, a pretty good machine still. But I think it was 14 terahash. In those days, you actually wrote the customer's name on the side of the machine, and you sent me a photo of my S9 with my name on the side, which of course I then, sent out through Twitter and what have you later on. I nicknamed my S9 Eddie. It was Eddie the S9. And basically, I sort of grew with you and saw your operation expand.
I can comment on the sticker.
Yeah, go on, please do.
Actually, the idea was to provide the full transparency and provide as much information as possible to clients, because it does seem a bit risky to trust someone that is in Siberia managing your hardware that is rather expensive. We came up with our own stickers. We did write your name, and as far as I remember, we misspelled your surname.
Yeah, you did. You remember that? You did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Don't worry, everyone does that, and I'm sure that happens to you quite a lot as well. So we're in the same boat. But I mean, obviously, that wouldn't be viable now with the way that it's expanded and the model that you use. And actually, I want to ask you about that, because the traditional model for sort of mining companies or companies who host miners is that, you buy your machine and you run that machine. They look after it as best they can, but at some point that machine will probably fail. And it can be repaired, and there's options and all kind of stuff. Now, that's kind of the model that most people are probably used to. But you actually came up with something slightly different. And what I think you've done is actually pretty cool. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, actually, it's an evolution of our initial idea. Of course, any equipment fail, and with miners that run under high stress, like high temperatures, high consumption, and they fail quite a lot. And we thought about the ways, what can we do to make sure the investments are safe for our clients. So actually, initially, from the very start, we had an option where you could pay 10% extra. We called that hot swap. We had the backup fund of a few machines that we would use as a failover machine. Back then, it was absolutely manually. So if a machine failed, we just gave a client one of our machines to make sure that the operation is still going on. In the meantime, we repaired the machine and replaced it back if it was not beyond repair. And that's what we did basically for almost 2 years or a year and a half. But problem with this approach is that it requires a lot of manual work. When a machine fails, you have to communicate it back to client. You have to take the failed spare parts to service center, communicate it, the diagnostics information back to client, get green light. What do we do? Then you go back. Orchestrating all this logistics is rather tedious, and when you have like 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 clients, it's kind of okay. But by the end of 2019, we had more than 100 clients and more than 4,000 machines. And this model proved to be not really scalable. We had a huge queue of support tickets, and it took 2 weeks to answer the support tickets, and the situation was getting worse and worse over time. So we decided that we need something different. We need to implement some more scalable approach, basically. That's where, when we came up with what we used to call back then, and sometimes now, automatic hot swap. Basically, you can see it as an insurance system. Each contributes a little bit to make sure that nothing drastic would happen with one single client. Because if your miner fails beyond repair, you're losing a huge amount of money that you've put in. And the scariest part that you cannot even be sure that it is the case. Okay, so you got a message from your hosting provider. Sorry, your machine worth a few thousand dollars, euros failed, and sorry, it's gone. So we decided to implement a different approach. We basically pulled together all hashing power of all miners, and then redistributed it to all clients proportionally to their nominal hash rate of the machines. So basically, if your device fails, it does not have much effect on your production. Basically, it slightly reduces the output of all miners participating in this insurance system. But you can be sure that your miner will not just disappear, will not just burn.
Well, I mean, it's a really good scheme, actually, and I've not seen anyone else run a system like this, and I have had a look around just to see what's out there. And there are a lot of hosting providers, but they all have that same proviso. If your machine fails, it's tough luck, mate, basically. If we can fix it, maybe we'll get round to fixing it, but you will be offline. So Cyberian has something very different, and it's a really good model, I think. And from experience, I mean, I've been with you, as I say, right from the start, really. I've seen all of the changes that have developed through the company. Your hash rate, you always maintain it somewhere around the 95% level. There's sometimes little bounces up and down, but it's usually around that level. And you're able to do that consistently. And I have no idea if my machines actually are still physically there. I'm sure some of them are, or at least physically running, I should say. I know they're there because I went and saw them. But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. I may assure you that the physically every machine is still there, because one important thing on the platform that we developed using this approach is that behind each kind of virtual miner, there is a certain piece of hardware with a unique serial number, and it's transparent, and it's traceable and auditable. That is also very important. So even if your machine fails, beyond repair. It still is there.
Well, I think that's kind of reassuring. And in actual fact, you make an interesting point, because that, in some ways it's kind of a hybrid model, isn't it? Because you're kind of leaning slightly towards cloud mining, but you're not really, because we know you have these physical machines which back these virtual ones. In fact, I like the way you put that. That's a very good summary. But cloud mining's got quite negative connotations associated with it, because there were a few problems with this back in the day. I'm sure we all remember the Wild West we were talking about with cloud mining. But this is different from that, but it has some nuances from there, does it? You have taken some stuff from there.
Yeah, when brainstorming this idea, we actually even came up with the term hybrid mining. When we have scalability of cloud mining, and at the same time transparency and non-fungibility of traditional hosted mining. So each miner is non-fungible basically, and it's transparent, and it's pretty simply framed. Because in cloud mining, there are also usually lots of different calculations involved, and it's not straightforward. And here it looks absolutely the same. You buy a machine, it mines to your wallet, you pay for hosting. Basically, it's an abstraction layer above hardware that simplifies service, that simplifies maintenance for us internally as well. It simplifies communication. It reduces the support tickets queue a lot, like really, really a lot.
And that's pretty important. But I mean, the other thing is, I can't emphasize enough, how important that transparency is, because I'm sitting outside as a customer, and you and I actually never physically met until a couple of days ago, although we've spoken many times, Telegram, email, even Zoomed a couple of times. But there's something very tangible about seeing that operation actually happening, and being able to physically touch the machines. And actually, you were very kind and took me to your operation here yesterday, and we had a little look around. Very secure location, I have to say. There's a lot of security there, and those doors at the front are possibly the biggest doors I've ever seen. They look like blast doors, but that is a very, very secure environment. In fact, I'm just going to play a little clip. It's only a short clip. It has to be short because the noise in the mine from the number of machines running is pretty substantial. But you and I managed to have sort of a half conversation in front of the machines. I'm just going to play that clip now so people can hear what this operation actually sounds like.
I'm here with Max, who's the owner of Cyberian Mine. Max, just tell us where we are at the moment.
I hardly can hear you, but still, that's the first module of 1,000 units that we built. Each of them consists of like 1,000 units. It was supposed to contain 1,000 S9s, but of course when we moved to the newer models, we had to put fewer machines because newer machines are bigger and consume more energy. So there are all different kinds of machines on the same shelves, and you can actually see that we have double connection for different kinds of miners. For example, S19 you have to connect with two cables, M30S or Avalon you have to use one, but extremely powerful one.
Okay. And can you show us inside?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's getting hot here.
Yeah, the temperature here is definitely much higher. The noise level is much higher as well. It looks absolutely fantastic.
So it's really noisy as you can hear, hopefully you're able to hear some of that conversation. But I can, it does confirm the miners are definitely real. They're definitely there. You could definitely feel them as well as hear them. The airflow in there was absolutely astonishing. And of course, there's a lot of service and maintenance, going on, and that's pretty important for miners. So given your model, Max, how does that work in terms of warranty with the machines?
It's not, the only thing that you have to provide the automatic failover, or this hash rate insurance. You still have to repair the machines. And actually, we did the math and figured out that the amount of money that we spent on solving the issues with the clients and the repairs, like the operating expenses to communicate with the client, or all this turmoil, all this mess that we had with support tickets back in late to 2019. Actually, we spent almost the same amount as our clients spent on repairs themselves. So it was a bit a counterintuitive solution, but we just decided, why don't we just pay for all the repairs of clients? We would save us a lot of effort and a lot of manual tasks. We take that pain off the customers' heads, and it actually worked. So since the platform launch, we actually do that, and it's been already 16 months, I believe. We cover all the repairs, we cover all the maintenance, spare parts, and it works. The model in business terms is sustainable because we don't have to maintain a big team of support engineers to communicate and back and to invoice every single spare part that, for example, a fan, really a very good example. They fail the most, and kind of to make sure that the fan is replaced. It takes 3-4 hours of time, all the people that are involved on the way, and it costs less than this time of the employees. So it's all simple. If it fails, we repair it. So
I mean, that sounds like an ideal solution for everyone then. But so for you, it's a simpler process. And it sounds like actually there may even have been a cost saving in that process.
Totally win-win. Yeah. Absolutely.
And effectively a customer, is it true to say that a customer ends up with almost a lifetime warranty?
It's what it is. Yeah, it is a lifetime warranty with everything covered for life.
Fantastic. I mean, it is it makes it clear this is a very different model to what we see elsewhere. But I think that's why Cyberian Mine is quite unique in how you operate this.
Yeah. One important thing that it actually, in terms of money, it's not purely saving us money. We spent about the same amount. But it allows us to scale up. So we are not choking on support tickets, and the extra number of machines that we get for our clients. It does not increase our load very much.
Well, that's brilliant. That has allowed you to scale up because Cyberian Mine is obviously a lot bigger as an operation now than it was even a couple of years ago. I mean, are you happy to share with us how many machines you now have and what your total hash rate is?
Our total hash rate is around 65 pentahashes, and we run around 1,221 machines.
So you know the exact number, but I mean that's less than you mentioned earlier. I think. I mean there must be a reason for that difference.
Yes, the end of the 2019 was the beginning of second crypto winter that we survived through. So there were lots of older machines of older generation, like Antminer S9, which we had like 4,000 of them.
Wow.
And at that point, they were bringing just about the same amount that you would need to spend on hosting. So there were lots of clients that decided, okay, it's the end of the era of S9s. So they and we sold basically all of these machines for peanuts. It was like 10-15 euros each.
Actually, I have to be honest, I offloaded mine as well at the same time. And of course, I regret that now because S9s are very profitable at the moment and they are very sought after machines. So, cause you can, they sell about $1,000 they can be.
Yeah. Currently
incredible.
They are. And, the funny thing, mining is a really long-term game. And as my experience shows, the most patient clients are winning it all.
I think that's really good advice. So the 1,000 odd machines, the 1,221 you have now, presumably they are much newer machines and much more powerful machines.
Yes, absolutely. Well, actually,
we went in yesterday and we saw, what was it, 20 S19 Pros, were they? I think.
S19J Pros, and there were also M30Ss that just came in, the shiny, brand new machines. And now I can share that our average watts per terahash is 49.5. I don't know if it's if it says anything to anyone, but
no, that shows how much more powerful the machines are, because when you had that 4,000, if they were S19s, you would have been 12, 13, maybe 14 terahash average, something like that. So it just goes to show how much better that performance is now with far fewer machines. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's
totally.
a good number. So. And can you just tell us one thing? Because, one of the things that mining really comes into, under fire for all the time is this so-called environmental impact. Because you and I know that, mining is already one of the most efficient businesses on the planet in terms of power consumption and in terms of green energy consumption. Now, but it doesn't matter how many times we say that. We're always going to have people say, "Oh, no, it isn't," or it's it's not true, or you're skewing the facts. So let's just focus again on Cyberian Mine. Where does Cyberian get its power from?
We are powered only by hydropower. You see, this region of Siberia, Irkutsk region, has some peculiar history. Well, first of all, there is a Baikal Lake, the biggest sweetwater reservoir in the world, and from this lake, here flows the river, Big Angara River, that actually powers all the hydropower plants that Soviets built a long time ago. And back then, everyone liked to build something big. And they are really immense, absolutely gigantic. There is a cascade of hydropower stations on Angara River. So Irkutsk, Bratsk, Ustilimsk, and there are like a couple more smaller ones, and totaling, I believe currently it's 12 gigawatts of power, and that was supposed to power the industry, including aluminium production, which requires a lot of power, and currently, it's not produced that intensively as before, also because of sanctions, but also because the production itself changed, and it's now twice as efficient as it was like 50 years ago. So there is abundance of energy, the unused capacity is huge. And actually, in terms of price, that's where the price comes from. In Irkutsk region, the price of energy is lower than anywhere, even within Russia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
So, in fact, is it true to say that pretty much everything in this town, Irkutsk, is powered by hydro as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the dam and the hydropower station is right within the city.
In fact, I know this because I don't know if you know, but I actually went for a little walk round there the other day and just checked it out. And so that is the dam that powers all of this area and the mining farm, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. There are some distant, like small cities that can use their local generation, but like everything that you can that you can connect a cable, any place that you can connect with a cable, like within the reach, it's all powered by hydropower.
Well, that's fantastic. But that brings us kind of up to date, I suppose. So we know, where we are now and what's happening. And what are your plans for the future? Just in terms of Cyberian at the moment. I mean, focus on that. What are you thinking? Are you looking to get bigger, to expand further, bring on more clients, or are you happy where you are? I mean, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm happy where we are, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to improve and grow and expand. And like the next few steps that we are going to take, first of all, the diversity of locations. Currently, we are hosted in 2 facilities, but if we had 3, 4, 5, then we could negate or mitigate big outages. For example, it happens sometimes, not very often. I believe in the last 16 months, we had 4 days where we had like 12 to 14 hours power outages. But if we had those miners distributed across a few locations, then the outage would not lead to lower hash rate during this day, and it would average down and overall would produce more stable hash rates for our clients. That's one of the things. Of course, there is a really long development backlog that we have for our platform. Currently, there are a lot of features that we did not cover yet, like marketplace or where you can actually sell your machine, or pre-orders that are automated with guaranteed delivery date, and like many little things that make mining really comfortable, transparent, and easy and safe, and everything. But there are still so many little things that we want to add to the platform, like development-wise, and that's what actually gets me excited. Like
gets you up in the morning, probably.
That's what gets me up in the morning.
So, in fact, you've touched on something there, really, about making mining easier and easier for people, because I've been in the industry myself for a few years, not just mining, but Bitcoin generally, as you know. So people do ask me all the time, how do I get into mining and what have you? So, I mean, what advice for people who might be listening to this, would you give people who want to get into mining, but possibly don't yet fully understand it? Not helped with our rather poor description earlier on, but, how would they get started? What advice would you say to them?
Well, probably always the best thing to start with is do your own research. So
don't listen to us trying to explain mining to people.
I could give advice like just go sign up to Cyberian Mine and buy 10,000 worth.
I think you might be slightly biased in that answer.
Yeah, but you should definitely learn about Bitcoin, learn about the mining. Actually, the results of mining. I said before that the most patient clients are the most productive and have highest outcome. I think that comes from their understanding and trusting Bitcoin itself. So if you believe in Bitcoin and you understand why it is such a big deal, then you can have this patience. It reduces your anxiety about your investment. You won't do something stupid along the way, like I did when I sold.
I told you, Max, we've all been there. We've all been there. We've all been there. Well, I mean, you're right. That research element is absolutely critical. I think you've made Cyberian Mine pretty easy. I mean, there are other companies out there now offering quite good solutions, sort of click and go, and they're pretty good as well. They don't have your model. And I don't know them well enough really probably, to comment, but you certainly, the platform you've created so far makes, life very easy for people. So I have to give you real credit for that. And in actual fact, if for those of you who are listening who want to get started with, mining, I will actually be giving you, cause Max has very kindly given me a sort of promotional referral code that I can give out at the end of this podcast, but maybe even at the start as well if we go really crazy. And that, gives you 45 euros sort of balance on your account to get started against a machine. I know that's not very much because machines are quite expensive at the moment, aren't they, Max? I mean, things have changed a little bit over the last year, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The thing with the cost of machines, since like 1 year probably, since 1 year ago, prices are constantly growing. The machine that now costs 15,000, 12 months ago, you could buy for 5,000. And actually, even back then, there were a lot of folks wondering, why is it expensive? Is it too late to get into it? Or what's wrong with the price? It's just too expensive, but it's getting more and more expensive. By the way, one of the good things about Cyberian Mine,
Is this getting a bit promotional?
Commercial, yeah.
Okay. Commercial break, everyone. Commercial break.
Yeah, that if Bitcoin goes up, the cost of equipment also goes up because it's a money printer. The more money it prints, the more it costs. So it goes also for miners themselves. So you should always consider that. Also, not only in terms of potential profits, but also in terms of potential risks. So if Bitcoin goes down, the cost of miner also goes down. Even though you can always sell your machine on our internal marketplace, you should consider that the cost of the means of production goes up and down along with Bitcoin, with some delay, with some latency, but still important thing to note.
I suppose the other thing that's worth mentioning for people who don't fully understand this is that obviously as the Bitcoin price fluctuates, it always moves around, as we know, it can go crazy up, can go crazy down. But the actual cost of hosting is absolutely fixed, isn't it? It never changes.
Yeah.
So all you're talking about is your potential profit level changing over time once you've acquired the machine.
To be honest, it may change a bit, but it's very seldom. We like in 3 years, we only once raised prices last spring because the energy cost was raised, so we had to follow And yeah, we raised prices. But in general, when you do your calculations, you always should have in mind that the hosting fee, the price of hosting your machine, is always fixed in fiat, and the mining earnings you get in Bitcoin, which is very volatile. So that is. That is why also you have to pick wisely the machine that you want to mine with. The machine with higher efficiency is more stable and less likely will be taken out of the game by Bitcoin volatility.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a very good point to make. But I think I'm asking that question, or just to confirm it, really, because I do get that question a lot. Because if you are on the outside and you're very new to mining, it does seem quite difficult to get your head round at first. It's not that hard, actually, once you get into it. But there is this perception that price changes as the Bitcoin price changes, and of course we know that it doesn't. So I just wanted to kind of force that question to
that's
make
just
that clear.
basically the cost of energy plus fixed cost of hosting. Well, it's all included in our hosting fee, but yeah, it is kind of immutable.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are right now in a stage where miners are expensive. I mean, it's not just expensive Siberian. It is expensive everywhere right now for lots of different reasons, some of which we haven't even really gone into. But do you see that changing anytime soon? I mean, obviously I'm asking one of those how long is a bit of string questions, but do you see that situation changing radically either way, or how do you feel things are going to progress in the next sort of few months?
Well, not anytime soon. First of all, there's a shortage of chips on the market, which affects many other industries as well. And it also affects Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin miners. There's one more factor that Chinese ban and problems that manufacturers of mining equipment have, and most of them are Chinese, even though some manufacturers have already relocated some parts of their production to other countries, but the biggest factories are still in China, and they are not allowed to sell within China, at least, but they will have eventually to relocate their production. So it increases the scarcity of the equipment, and I believe in the next 12 months nothing will change in a positive way. I mean, the mining machines, miners will get more and more scarce, hence more and more expensive over time.
Yeah. Okay. So that sounds like it's gonna get more expensive. I mean, that might not be the case, I guess, if Bitcoin price takes a dive. That might change it, possibly the other way.
Well, the funny thing, even though price of Bitcoin and price of miner are correlated, when Bitcoin goes up, the price follows instantly. But when Bitcoin goes down, all who bought Bitcoin miners, for high price, they're very hesitant, and they don't want to sell below the price that they paid. So it kind of goes down very, very slowly. You need 3 to 5 months of bearish market for the actual price of miner to follow Bitcoin's fall all the way. So
yeah, I mean, we have seen that though before. I mean, you talked about that.
Like with S9s, but the S9s were borderline profitable. So basically, even if it was twice more efficient, it would not affect the miner's price that much, because even if you can produce a little bit of Bitcoin, it is definitely worth keeping it running. And with S9, it's a little bit different case. Yeah,
Okay.
with modern machine, by the way, if you take the top tier machine, if Bitcoin goes down and it kicks out the low efficiency miners out of the game, then it increases the production of the rest of the miners because of lower difficulty of mining. So it's kind of self-balancing system. When there are many miners, everybody wants some. Difficulty grows. Everybody gets less. Well, if some miners switch off, those who are more patient again will get everything that the ones that switched off turned away.
So, I mean, we're getting a common theme there, Max, which is kind of consider it long-term investment and sort of be patient and just, ride the storm, I guess, is what you're saying. And in many ways, you've already proved that point from the clients that you have and, looking at the business over the last few years, you've seen those peaks and troughs and you've already seen those best returns. So, it's worth taking that advice on board, I think. But it does lead me to another question because, we're just talking about the price of miners in the future. We don't really know, of course. We're just basing it on our experience. I mean, how do you see Bitcoin unfolding in the next couple of years? Just for fun, really. I mean, I'm not necessarily just talking about price, although your take would be interesting. But I'm thinking also, how do you see it expanding? Do you think we've reached the limit? Do you think we're going crazy? We're going to really move forward with it? Do you think it'll be slow and steady? I mean, what's your view? Or could it go back the other way? Could we,
we can have both, not at the same time though. It does not really matter that much. Short term, what matters for me. When I plan my personal finances and my personal mining operations, I have a pretty long term thinking. So my planning horizon lies somewhere 2025, because there will be halving in 2024. It's the time when rewards for miners get halved. This means the supply of new bitcoins to the market shrinks. So which leads usually, and it was proven by history, like every time it leads to a huge bull run. So I believe that even if we have some bearish market, within the next couple years, now I will continue mining all the way, even if some of machines may become kind of unprofitable, what they say. But actually, I do not really see that any miner can be unprofitable, because the total outcome of mining depends more on when you exit your position, not whether in this specific moment price is good enough and electricity is not exceeding the price of Bitcoin generated at this exact moment. Because, and I've seen it many times. I'll wait until I do believe in Bitcoin and Bitcoin's future. The advice that I usually give to my customers is to always hold all the coins and to cover hosting fee from some other fiat income. As for the fun part, I believe, don't quote me on this. I think later this year we'll get to all-time high, something around $80,000 per coin. And later, probably by the end of 2025, I believe we will get to 200,000 or 250 probably.
Well, that's a pretty good number to get. And I thank you for sharing that with me, Max, because a lot of people ask me that question as well, and I'm never as brave as you to actually try and give an answer. And I know there's lots of caveats. I know
it's not a financial advice.
Let's make that absolutely clear. This is not financial advice.
That's
this is
where
an
I
opinion
come
piece.
from. That's my personal, absolutely feeling that. It doesn't really matter what will it be. We know for sure that it will be not this exact number.
So, Max, the other thing is you when you came here to Russia, you actually flew here from Dubai. You were doing an exhibition over there, I believe, and you've got another one coming up. So, where can we see you next? I think you're back in Dubai, aren't you?
Yes. The biggest challenge of traveling from Dubai to Siberia and back to Dubai to find the right clothes to dress properly for +40 and -10.
Yeah, that's a big old range. Isn't it? That's like a 50-degree range.
Definitely. The next event that we will be participating in is WDMS, World Digital Mining Summit, that is held by Bitmain, the biggest manufacturer of miners. And I expect that they will do some announcements there, maybe new machines, maybe overall how they are going to tackle the China's war on miners. So I'm very excited to hear something about that. But actually, this event is not only about that. It's a place where the mining community, the biggest players in mining industry meet, show off and brag with their achievements. And that's what we're going to do as well.
And when is that? Is that coming up soon?
Yeah, that's from 8th to 10th November in Dubai. Please come and you can meet me in person and my team.
And actually, it is fabulous to me, Max, and I really appreciate you taking the time out. I'm going to be a little bit honest with some of the listeners here, is that we actually got here a couple of days ago, and we've had a bit of an international crowd with us because we had someone from Germany, someone from Mexico, someone from Cameroon, someone from France, one Brit here, and you yourself were Russian. So we all got together, and all of these people had one thing in common, which is mining, the belief in Bitcoin. So we did come a couple of days early. Yes, we went to all the mines. We've had a couple of really cool adventures as well. So thank you, Max, for organising that for us. So what's our next adventure, do you think? Are we gonna do something like this again?
Yeah, I will be happy to. It was really fun. Like, the initial goal of this meeting in Siberia was probably to just show the operations, just to give a little update to the mining community that we are here, and you can always come and visit us, our mining farm, and to see how it all works. But eventually, it turned out that apart from mining Bitcoin and business, you can have just so much fun, so many interesting conversations, so many little adventures on the way, and just the normal human communication, which is still the most important in the world. And I'm happy to have you here, and you being here. I lost all my words. I'm really happy that you're here.
Me too. And I just want to say thanks again. It has been great. You're looking after us and showing us all the facilities as well. Just keep doing what you're doing, I think, because, you're making mining pretty simple for people like myself, so we can understand it. So Max, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. If you've got any comments or questions on this podcast, please message me on Twitter at Jason A. Dean. Or if you'd like to know more on the subject of Bitcoin and finance in general, then join me on Medium at jasonadeen.medium.com. Now, don't forget the E at the end of Dean when you're typing that in, or you won't find me. Now, I promised you £10 worth of Bitcoin at the start of this podcast, and here are the details you need. All you need to do is open your newly installed Luno app and type in the code I'm about to give you. Remember, if you are an existing customer or you've been using Luno for a while, you won't be able to claim this. This is designed for people who are just getting started and are maybe not quite sure yet and just want a little bit of money to play with and learn how to use it. Now, very importantly, you must verify your new account first, which is quite easy to do through the app. Luno, as you would expect, complies with anti-money laundering regulations, so it's something you have to do first, like you do actually on all financial apps these days. And you do that by going to Profile, Settings, Verification, and it's the usual mugshot and ID, and it's processed normally within a couple of minutes. I'd also suggest you agree to marketing, at least at the beginning anyway, as Luno will give the option to attend one of their free webinars, might even be one I do, where you can learn all about Bitcoin and most importantly ask questions directly, as every session includes an open AMA section at the end. Anyway, once you've done your verification, and you only have to do it once of course, you just go to the section called rewards at the bottom of the screen, press the enter a code button and type in the following code: PDUK22X, that's Papa Delta Uniform Kilo 22 X-ray, and that's it. Your £10 in Bitcoin will be credited instantly. If you're in Europe, it will be the equivalent of £10. You can use that just to play with the app and explore it, but of course you can buy more Bitcoin easily once you're set up and go from there. Don't forget you can now earn up to 4% interest on your crypto by moving it to the built-in saving wallet, which is of course about 4% more than you can get in the bank right now. So T's and C's apply when saving, and you can check those out when you first transfer over. And don't forget, just another reminder, if you would like to learn more about Bitcoin, you're very welcome to attend the next Introduction to Bitcoin free webinar, which we run every month. Details and next dates are in the show notes below. That is worth attending, if nothing else, for the AMA session, because you can put questions, any questions you like really, directly to me, and I'll happily stay around and answer them for as long as you want me to. So maybe I'll see you there, but if not, I'll catch you next time on the Bitcoin and Global Finance podcast.